Hey guys, what's up? It's 412 Sports Cards here today, back at you today with another video. And today, I'm going to be giving you another from my buy, sell, hold segment that I'm building out about TRAE Young. So, give you some intro right now. I don't have a ton of TRAE Young cards, but I definitely follow his market a ton. And I'll give you some background here. Let's get started. So, going into the season, the Hawks completely retooled the lineup from last year. They added Danilo Gallinari and Bogdan Bogdanovic, Rondo to shore up the point guard position, Chris Dunn to add some defensive prowess at the point guard position for situational play. And the moves put a lot of attention on TRAE cards with the hopes of greater team success. So, Prism PSA 10s went from 400 in the start of October, 725 by Thanksgiving. Cooled off a little to about 550 by the start of the season, and are at all-time highs of $800 right now. It's huge price movement, by the way, since the start of the season. I'll get into that later, but that's insane price movement. So, my recommendation at the moment is either to be buying or selling. I'm not that huge on the whole, but I am going to give my strongest recommendation to buy, and here is the case for buying. TRAE Young, here, and I'll take this, show off this card a little bit, replace it here with my boy Jaren, two other guys in the back from the draft class, two other top 5 picks. But TRAE has looked good this year and has a lot more weapons around him. Yes, he's shooting 31% from 3 at the time of filming this video, but his field goal percentage is up as on total, and so is his per game scoring, and those are big things. He's clearly stumbled a little, hasn't had the massive start, that people in the hobby were hoping for him, dropping massive games, but despite their 4-4 record, which I would say is underperforming for the Hawks, have had injuries, and also no preseason to get used to the roster adjustments from a ton of offseason moves. I see great opportunity. It's worth noting also, his defensive rating through 8 games is much better than from last season. So it's 10 points better, which is a ton, and some of that is definitely probably just luck, but his offensive rating is also better this season. So it's improved his net rating this year to 8.2 from negative 4.9. If you're not into advanced stats, that is a huge jump. Obviously only 8 games in, but a lot of it is probably the talent he's playing with, but it's still a good sign in my eyes because the net rating being negative, meaning like the offensive the amount of points that the Hawks were scoring and the amount of points that the Hawks were giving up on defense, that they were giving up more points when he was on the court than they were scoring. That was a huge detriment to TRAE investing in my eyes, and the fact that there's signs that might be going away is a big deal for me, because even Steph Curry has massive positive net ratings. And I think that's a sign that he can contribute to winning basketball, which is huge and something that investors desperately need to be seeing sooner rather than later for his prices to sustain. Now, obviously, you don't want to be making buying decisions off of 8 games, and I get that. That would be stupid. But I will say this. The hype engine around this NBA season and how hot the card market is absurd. Guys of low profiles are popping like negative never before. I mean, we're talking about guys like, these are just 2 Hawks cards I found in my PC, but even guys like Herter and Collins, Collins obviously a little more than Herter, are hobby relevant this year just because of how hot the market is. If guys like this I would consider hobby relevant and that their cards can pop, it means that the potential for guys like TRAE Young's cards to pop is even higher. And I'll be honest, I'm saying that TRAE is a buy after his cards went from 550 to 800 over honestly no huge counting stat increases, which are what the hobby usually likes to see. That's usually the most powerful force. Counting stats, points, assists, rebounds, 3-pointers. Without huge increases in those, his cards just leapt a ton. And I will agree that's hard to explain, but I also think that the little improvement in the net rating I think is kind of slept on. I think that's a huge stat that most people aren't talking about, and I think it's a big deal. And TRAE is a top 5 young player in the hobby. He has the full hobby hype machine behind him. And I mean, we're talking about if he can boost his 3-point production a little bit, which the hobby loves. If he can make more social media highlight reels. And if the Hawks can win more. I think those are all catalysts for his cards to go wild. Even higher than they are right now. I'm not saying he should be priced at the same as Luka. I'm never going to say that, at least given the current situation. I'll never say that. But I think there's just so many things that can go right for his cards. And I think he's playing on such a good team with so much talent around him. And you just got to give it time to gel a little bit. And I think that as he gets used to the people he's playing around, I think big things are in store. Just a quick plug to drop a like and drop a sub if you're watching this video still. I really appreciate it. It makes a big difference. We've been growing a lot recently because of you guys doing stuff like that. And it's really exciting to build this community. And I appreciate any and all of you. So thank you. What to buy though? So that's kind of the theory behind the buying decision, right? So now we're going to talk about what would I be buying? Since a lot of this play that I gave is just capitalizing on hype, I see TRAE getting mainstream. I see that TRAE getting mainstream. Excuse me. It could be nice. And by that I mean I would like Prism rookie cards graded by PSA are nice to capitalize on hype, right? That's the play there. Now that said, the past 3 months, his performance on the select concourse is the exact same as the Prism, plus 32.11%. That's nuts. I think a ton of the reason Prism is so high, other than this Prism is king argument, is I think Prism is the premier flipping brand, right? People say it moves first. And there's no doubt you like cards that move first when you want to sell on quick flips. You want to sell on a couple of games of success. You want to get in, you want to get out fast, and you want to have a card that moves to react to a couple big games. Prism does that, and I think that's why Prism's price is so high, because it's valuable to the flipper. If Select is now doing that, if the market is catching on to Select enough that it's moving with that kind of volatility, watch out. Because the pop is lower, the price is lower, and if it takes on that characteristic of Prism that it can move that fast, it's game over. That's the clear-cut card to be putting your money into. I always put my money into Select just because I'm always a little afraid of, sudden plunges. Cards are risky, guys, and any chance you can take to mitigate some of that risk, I don't I don't advise against. I would take the chances to mitigate risk. The case for selling, we'll get into it. We're gonna try to keep it under 10 minutes, so we're gonna go fast. I mentioned it in the buy case. It's the notion that these cards have shot up in price recently over basically nothing. For many people, the chance of easy profit is probably too good to pass up, and I don't blame you either. It's a great success if you sell here and made a bunch of money. Another reason I think is that the level of scrutiny for Trae Young in the future, I just kicked the camera, is going to increase. Investors are expecting at the very least to be in the playoff hunt this year. And I mean, you need to start playing winning basketball to keep the hobby attention on you. Every year those expectations are going to grow, guys, and it gets harder and harder for players to reach those next rungs and to meet those expectations. And if you've got a lot of money on the table that you can take profit on, it might not be a bad idea to get out and sell a little bit. Definitely, there's no doubt those performance standards are going to rise, and those are threats to future price stability. Hold, I don't have a lot for you guys on hold. I think that right now with TRAE, usually I honestly end up saying hold on here, mostly in the case of falling prices, but I do think that you should be making up your mind whether you're a buyer or a seller on TRAE. I don't have a ton of TRAE personally. I have 2 of these selects. So I'm probably in the buy category. I might go out and pick up another, quite honestly. I just like these select concourses, so these are what I buy. But I'd be trying to make up your mind, guys, whether you're a buyer or a seller. TRAE's a polarizing guy, and I think you just got to know which side of the spectrum you're landing on. And you just got to proceed in the hobby, proceed in your actions accordingly. That's assuming you have multiple cards, obviously. I mean, I only have 2, and I'm buying, so it works out. But the conclusion, this was a lot more player analysis than picks. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I definitely do believe in TRAE, despite a semi-arbitrary price jump recently. I think that he still has so many catalysts ahead of him for price growth that I still like his chances. You think about how much less he's done than Luka, how many milestones he has to reach, like winning seasons and, improved defense. I think there's just so much room for these to go up. Anyways, that's my thoughts on TRAE Young, and I'll catch you next time.